All right, we are live. There we go. Hello, boys.
What's up?
Hello.
Welcome. Today is Sunday, April 21st, 2024, and you have tuned in to the first episode of Mat Chat, episode number 1, introductions, background, all that fun stuff. So today we're going to do, not like a full thing, kind of a full thing, kind of a rundown, it's like a dress rehearsal. It's kind of like we're warming up a little bit. So we're just going to kind of give you guys a little background, who we are, where we come from, go through, the week, talk about what's going on, all that stuff. So we are here as representatives, I guess you could say, as emissaries from the hub of WWE on Reddit, going on 700K, and that's crazy. Just like recently, 600K. So probably a million ecstatic fans by I don't know, by summer, probably by summer. So we're just gonna chat a little bit, let you guys get to know us. First, some shout outs. The music, Doomsday Machine by Ascendant. The guy in the band from that, I think they're out of Dubai. He's also a big wrestling fan, and he actually graciously donated that song to us to use. Said you can find their music over on Bandcamp. Pretty good stuff. Like, I was listening to it, and I was like, very, very much Attitude Era type stuff. So just some quick introductions to get those out of the way. Let's see. Mike, have at it.
Okay, my name's Mike. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm 26 years old. I started watching wrestling when I was around 8 or 9. I've started doing podcasts back in February for the Grade A show. You can see the link on my page. Best event I've ever been to for wrestling was probably the 10th anniversary SmackDown. I got to see this awesome 8-man tag match with brothers. I was DX, The Undertaker, and John Cena against Legacy and CM Punk. And favorite wrestler currently in the brand is Roman Reigns, and my favorite wrestler of all time is The Undertaker.
Nice. All right. I can I feel you. Jason.
All right. Name's Jason. Everyone calls me Skelly. I'll say my age. I'm 43. I'm old. Been doing podcasts since about 2007. 2007. I started doing gaming podcast convention coverage with a couple small blogs. Started a couple small blogs myself. Couple that are still going. I passed them off to friends to continue with, and actually I've been podcasting here and there the last 2 years, but been into wrestling since probably about 1985, 86. Grew up down in Norfolk, Virginia, which Ric Flair calls his second home. I used to go to house shows every other week down there
Nice.
with WCW. Late in 80s, early 90s, got into WWE when they started Monday Night Raw in the early 90s. Really got into it and pretty much been watching and been a fan ever since. Been to a lot of shows in the Attitude Era, early 2000s. Got to see I was actually at the show where at the end, right after they went off the air, you can see in a lot of WWE stuff, bloopers, all that, where Stone Cold goes down the ramp in the office chair.
I remember that
episode. I was at a couple episodes where during Vince and Ric Flair's feud, when Ric Flair took over part of the company and they were co-owners together. But favorite event I ever went to, other than the first ever Great American Bash that they had with WWE, where Undertaker, Paul Bearer got buried in cement. Other than that episode or that show, my favorite was the first War Games a couple years ago in Boston. That show was amazing. So that's pretty much about me.
All right. I have been on the I was more of a WCW guy. That was more of what I grew up watching. But I watched both, because I'm about the same age. I'm turning 40 in July, so I lived through the Monday Night Wars and the Attitude Era and all that. So I was more of a WCW guy, but I watched both depending on what was going on. But one of my favorite memories, one of my favorite shows that I ever attended. I don't know if you guys have heard this story or not, but the infamous 1997 WWE House Show Riot took place in here in Little Rock at Barton Coliseum, because we all showed up to go to the show. It was a Monday night. We thought it was going to be a Raw. Turned out Raw was taped before that, so everybody found out that night that it was actually a house show, and the fans rioted, and it was a dumpster fire, like just horrible. I don't know why I like that show so much, but other than that one, probably my first WrestleMania a couple years ago. My first pay-per-view I went to was a No Mercy show back in I was like 02 or 03, I think it was. Only pay-per-view we've ever got here in Arkansas. I'm sure you guys have had more in your states. We've only ever had one. So that was probably my my favorite one that we've ever had. I kind of took a break after the WCW invasion fizzled out. Came back. I remember Sheamus was champion when I came back. So about the time that the Shield was going on and all that, and it's been nice. I like this new era. There's a lot of potential. It's not as crazy as it used to be, but I watch a lot of like UFC and stuff like that, and I really like how real this current era feels. So one of the things that's got me on board. So well, I guess kind of now that we've kind of got everybody to know us a little bit, I kind of just wanted to blaze through and do a recap. In the future, in future episodes, the weekly recaps will be more in depth. Stuff like that. We'll actually sit down and chat more about match by match and stuff like that. But just because there's so much to do in this first one, we'll kind of just blaze through and kind of check out some of the highlights of the past week. I guess really on Raw, we had the Liv Morgan heel turn, the Chad Gable heel turn, DIY capturing the number one contender spot for the title. But for me, probably the highlight would be the new tag team championship belts. And I wanted to kind of have you guys weigh in a little bit on that. Any thoughts you had? I'll actually throw the graphic up there. We can have that beautiful graphic there to look at if you love it or hate it. But kind of some of your takeaways from Raw, thoughts on the belts, that good stuff.
Yeah, I personally like the belts way better than the old ones. It almost looks similar to the World Heavyweight Championship a little bit, the new one that they got. But I like them way better than the old ones. And then my other takeaways from Raw are the Liv Morgan heel turn. I understand why people are such big fans of Rhea and want to throw her under the bus, but Rhea did take away time from her career too. We got to remember that.
Yep.
And it's not so much to gag up on Liv Morgan, but I understand why some fans have turned on her. The Chad Gable heel turn, not a big fan of that one, ruining Sammy's moment in his hometown of Montreal. Not a fan of it. I heard he might bring the Creed brothers with him too for the heel turn, what I've been reading. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I assume the Alpha Academy will be without him from now on. And then I'm very curious to see what happens in the tag match too for the championships with DIY facing Awesome Truth. It's very interesting to see two face tag teams against each other. Personally, myself, I think.
Yeah, I was a big NXT Black and Gold guy. So a lot of times I'll see people talking about DIY and they're like, I don't get these guys. They're not that interesting to me. But like, man, I lived that feud. DIY watching them rise, but also Ciampa and Gargano and their feud and stuff like that. Like Black and Gold, probably one of my favorite things I've seen in recent memory. That era was just magic. Yeah,
the thing I'm loving though is with that DIY thing, Tommaso Ciampa, when they brought him up to the main roster, they dropped the ball with him. Yeah. Now that Johnny Gargano's back, they're back as DIY. They have that moment. As much as I love Awesome Truth, and I'm glad R-Truth has a title on him right now, I'm hoping that DIY gets him so they have a good title run on the main roster. But as far as Raw goes, Liv Morgan kind of saw the heel turn coming. Was sad to see Rhea have to drop the title. Looking forward to, I know we probably will talk about this, but looking forward to Liv getting that title next week or tomorrow. For her short title run to
they have to.
Yep. Because with Seth being out after his surgery, Becky is probably going to not be around as much to take that title, so they're going to have to give it to Liv. Coming off of Chad Gable's heel tag, kind of sad that they're probably going to drop the ball with Otis now. I love seeing him in his character development. He's hilarious to me. Him and Chad Gable together were amazing. So I'm sad to see that, but them bringing the Creed brothers into it hopefully will make Chad Gable's character a little bit more prominent, give him a little bit more spotlight and push. So I'm looking forward to that.
What do you think about the belts? You like them?
There's a lot going on with it. I like it more than the penny and the nickel tags.
Yeah.
So that's a plus, but SmackDown titles still look better to me.
Oh, way better by far.
So, of all the shows that you watch weekly, if you had to pick a top between Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, which do you look forward to most every week? I mean, for me, it's been NXT, but I don't know. Where are you guys at?
For me, it's been kind of, I'd say SmackDown, because I like what they're doing, especially now with the Bloodline Civil War. I look forward to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I got to go with you. Recently, NXT's been one of my favorite shows to watch. Every week it surprises me, though. Some weeks I'll have Raw be the favorite show. Some weeks I'll have SmackDown be it. It all depends for the most part. But I've really liked what NXT did running up to Stand and Deliver and what they've done after it, too. And I'm very curious to see, too, post-draft, who goes to NXT, seeing they're going to expand the brand, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, this week was good. I mean, the Dragunov and Evans match was really good, but like the highlight, I mean, what Trick and Carmelo are doing right now is just you can't write that kind of chemistry. I mean, from Stand and Deliver to the match this week, like these guys are just money together. And that's what I'm curious about. You know, talking about the draft and what these guys are doing is like. They're going to be huge. Well, hopefully, you know, you never know. It's always like that. You always think someone's going to be huge, and then you look at the writing when they come up, and it's like, man, they should have been this or that, and then they don't become that. But like these guys, their chemistry is undeniable.
I've been a Carmelo and Trick fan of that whole story because they laid the groundwork for them breaking up and be like feuding for months and months ahead, just by simple looks that they gave each other. And you don't have a lot of feuds don't have that chemistry, but just that those little looks that they would give each other, like you're a piece of trash, I'm going to take you out soon for your belt. And that brought me into NXT more than it has in the past, since like back in the day when DIY, Karrion Kross was still in NXT, all that. So.
I thought it was very interesting too how they got rid of Drew Gulak too with the D'Angelo family story there to set up the 6-man tag match for Spring Breakin'. It was a very funny way to write it in.
Yeah, that's
like the situation itself is not funny. Don't get me wrong, but the way that they wrote it into the story to set up the match at Spring Breakin', I thought was very clever.
Yeah, I was. That whole situation's trash, but the way they did it the right way. So hopefully when he does come back, because after everything's said and done, he hopefully will be coming back, and they'll write him back in the right way too.
I'm sure he'll have a PowerPoint to go along with it. So.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I think this week, I mean, I got to say, I think the winner for me was probably SmackDown. I mean, from the Bloodline segment to the AJ Styles LA Knight match. I want to talk about all these. There's the SmackDown. It's so exciting. The new tag titles, the Street Profits, the Tiffany interference at the end. I mean, there was just so much going on. Let me throw these tag titles up. Those are the money there.
The Bulldog titles.
Yeah, I mean, just classic, just beautiful titles. I mean, you know, for me, I look forward to AJ and Cody, you know, both Bullet Club guys. So, I mean, I think they could tell. There's not a lot of time to build a story between them, which is what's unfortunate. So I hope that they drag something out with them for a little bit longer. But I know we kind of touched on a little bit, but the Bloodline Civil War, you know, there's so many different ways that we could go from here. So if you had a prediction for it, or say you're writing the story, where would you want it to go from here?
I was gonna say, so it's the way that they're setting it up. It looks like it's gonna be Solo taking over the head of the bloodline, be taking over the tribal chief role without Roman Reigns' approval. So my guess is the way that they're gonna go with it is the Rock's bloodline versus Roman's bloodline. But personally, myself, I would like to see Roman and Solo stick together, and then The Rock take on maybe like the Usos or something like that. I love seeing Roman and Solo together. I think they complement each other perfectly.
Jive, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But see, with them jiving, I think them feuding would be a lot more interesting than them being on the same side again. Because that feud with them, like you said, bloodline versus bloodline, because they're related but not same family bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see, only because the Usos are part of Roman's bloodline, Roman, the Usos, and then The Rock, Solo, Tama Tonga go that route. And well, Jacob Fatu coming
up too. Yeah, where's he going to land?
If he lands on the Rock side, what I would love, and I think a lot of like not only casual fans but fans that have liked Sammy for a long time, bring Sammy back into the Roman side of the bloodline to fill it all out, and then feud that way.
The honorary Us.
Bring him back in on Roman's side again, because them together was, to me, probably one of the best moments of the bloodline story by far, when Sammy would try to break them in the ring and make them laugh, and it felt real. So
it really did.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
I honestly felt like if ever there was a moment, because Cody inevitably was going to be the guy, but like prior to that, if there was a moment that someone else was going to have it, like I really felt like if Sammy would have got it, like that would have been massive. Like Cody's was huge, but like I don't know. I feel like if Sammy would have got it with his moment that was happening like right then, it would have been just Buster's huge.
The only thing that's annoyed me so far with Solo is when he brought out Tama Tonga the other day, and he called him my MFT.
MFT.
What does that mean? I know a lot of people are speculating it stands for My Family Tree.
Oh yeah, I said that. Yeah.
But let us in on what that means. Don't just throw words out there and we don't know. So that way we can get more invested on why he's your MFT.
I know. At first I thought he was saying NFT because that's a thing.
Yeah, non-fungible token.
We're selling him on the internet.
So I started looking up on Twitter what everybody was coming up with for MFT, and there were so many things that were just out there. And there was no context for it. It was just like it was dropped. He said it, and then they just moved on and kept rolling with it, and no one had any idea what it means.
I was like, why are you throwing out random acronyms now? Let's tell us what they mean, and we'll get invested, and it'll go a lot better for you. He's still kind of new, though, Solo on the mic, because I'm looking at him now as what they did with Roman when he got Paul Heyman in the Wise Men. Mm-hmm. Roman wasn't good on the mic before, but now he's amazing because he's been working with Paul Heyman. So I think that's what they're doing with Solo now to build him up as the tribal chief, to get him on the mic more.
Yeah. So Jacob Fatu, I'm really interested to see how this is going to work in. I've actually seen him wrestle like house shows here with some of our local promotions, and we're talking like dingy basketball gyms with like 80 people. Like he's incredibly talented. I'm guessing he got plucked out because of the family bloodline, but like even for a guy that's will wrestle in a gym, like he'll act like, there's 40,000 people there. Like this dude's like, he's got a lot of potential. It's really interesting to see how they're going to handle that and how these guys are all going to work together. I've said this before, and I'm hoping it's not like the NWO Hollywood versus NWO Wolfpack storyline to where like one half of this team is just going to become utterly just worthless. I'm hoping that like something good comes out of it for everyone.
I'm looking forward to Jacob Fatu too, because he trained with Booker T. And Booker T's been pushing for WWE to sign him even before they went over to, MLW. Mm-hmm. So, it's been a while coming that he was going to be in WWE, but I hope he comes and they do it the right way.
I think also too. I think how you were saying. I think everyone will get something out of it because right before WrestleMania in the Roman Reigns documentary, he said, "I want to do this bloodline story for more than just myself. I want everyone to be known out of it." As Jey Uso has now been taken off on his individual platform, becoming main event Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso is probably about to take off now after what happened a week ago.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that the storyline's definitely, it's elevated everyone. I mean, I don't know. I in a way, I've found Solo kind of boring. So like recently what they're doing with him has made him much more interesting. Like with the suits and all that, talking more, like he's more, I feel like he's more credible now. So even though it's kind of taken towards the end of Roman's part of the last segment of the bloodline to like elevate him where he's at now, but it's really interesting. And Paul Heyman is like the best part of everything. Just
by far.
I mean, on Friday, it was so interesting to watch him kind of try to like thread that needle a little bit because he was trying to be like respectful, and he was like, "These are not decisions for you to make," and he's scared, but he stands firm in what he's doing, and that part of his character and what he's doing is really interesting because it shows his like extreme, I don't know, would be respect or fear, but the fact that Roman's not even there and he's still like holding that line, that's one of the best parts is seeing him still going with this. And I thought when the bloodline story was going to fizzle out that like Paul Heyman would move on and find a new Paul Heyman guy, which I hoped would be Braun Breaker, but it seems like he's still sticking with the bloodline storyline. So I mean, good storytelling all around.
But touching on what Mike said, touch on the documentary real quick with Roman, I gained a lot of respect because in that, like Mike said, that was where Roman pretty much said, "I'm doing this for my family. Yeah. If my family isn't getting something out of this, I don't want to do it."
Yep.
And that's why I gained a little respect for him there, and that's why I'm happy they're pushing Solo now. They're going to push probably Jimmy a little bit more. Mid card probably, US title run probably, that kind of thing, not main event, but they're all getting something out of this because that's what Roman wanted, and I am happy with that. That they're not just burying them after the storyline and it's going to continue.
Even look at Sami Zayn, how much he took off after that. He beats Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship. There's only, I believe, 4 or 5 guys to pin Gunther his whole career.
Yeah. And he's always been an interesting character. And he's the nicest guy. We went to a house show, me and my daughter, when she was like, I don't know, she was like 7 or 8, and we went back and met a bunch of the guys, and one of the ones that I really liked was Aiden English. This was a while back. Super nice guy. Shinsuke Nakamura was really nice, but like the 2 nicest guys we met were actually Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Like they were the sweetest dudes ever. And I think they were heels then, but like they're super nice. Like you can't help but like cheer for Sami because he does have that underdog thing, and a lot of people will be like, "Well, you can't ride that underdog train forever." But I mean, it's a pretty good story.
Yeah.
So the other thing, so kind of we glossed over this a little bit, but so Tiffany Stratton. So
Tiffany time.
How are we feeling? Is it time? Is it too soon, or is this the moment?
I don't think it's too soon. I think that what happened on Friday night could be possibly leading us to a 3-way, a triple threat match at Backlash, possibly for the championship. I could definitely see that.
Oh yeah, I think WWE needs to stop like waiting for characters to develop. Like with her right now, it's hot. Fans are, even though she's going heel, fans are behind her. So especially with what happened at Mania during the Io Sky and Bayley match where the fans were like, women can wrestle. They need to start pushing more like Tiffy, those kinds of matches where they can actually do their thing. And that's why I hope it's a triple threat match at Backlash too, so they can have the high-flying woman in there to make that match a little bit more interesting.
So are we thinking that Bayley could be a transitional champ?
I hope not. Because I would really like Bayley.
I don't think it'll end that soon.
Yeah, I would hope not. I don't know. I've liked the whole evolution of that story. It's been done so well. I was really bummed though that at the PLE. I keep wanting to say pay. When you're old, it's so hard to change your habits. I was
They're
really hoping,
pay-per-views.
I know. I was really hoping for the old music and the inflatable buddies and all that. I was really bummed they didn't do that. I had such high hopes.
I like the role model version of Bailey, and
Yeah.
I hope that doesn't end with her title reign, because I want to see her feud with Tiffy, develop Tiffy's character before they give it to her, and give Bailey someone to feud with other than Damage Control, which to me right now is boring as hell.
Yeah.
Just my opinion.
I know it could have been so much better. It's just not. You know, most of the time, like, I feel bad saying it, but like a lot of times I forget that there's women's tag belts. I'm one of the advocates for women having mid-card titles instead, because most of the time I can't remember that they're there and I can't remember who have them. So like I feel like if those went away and they got some mid-card belts, it'd just be so much easier to keep up with. But I feel like they're keeping them around for Jade probably.
Yep. Yeah, they'll give them to Jade and Bianca, and then you'll see Damage Control fall apart, I think.
Yep.
And finally be done.
They could be trending that way though, because at NXT they're giving the North American Women's Championship belts. So that could run over to the other shows possibly. They could be thinking in that direction.
Yeah. So another piece of news that I wanted to touch on. I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but it was a sad week for me to see our Maharaja hindered.
Bow our heads in silence. No, I've never really been a big fan of him. So seeing him, like when he came out in January to interrupt the Raw, or when he was the former champion that's coming back and making him return, I was like, he still works here. I was like, he's still a thing here. I thought they let him go. So like, I hope he does more outside of WWE, but wasn't a fan. They didn't build him up after his title reign. They just let him drop off.
So will he be the next Matt Cardona?
Oh God, I hope not.
I thought
he's really good. If you there's an episode of, I don't know if you guys listen to Jericho's podcast, but he did an interview with him like years ago, and he's like the nicest guy. Like, it's so crazy. I feel like he got pigeonholed into that stereotypical role he was in, and I feel like he wasn't able to get out of that. And I think that probably was what kind of did him under at that point.
He went down the iron sheet hole and just got pigeonholed into that Middle Eastern character.
Yep. And he's Canadian.
Yeah.
I think a big thing with it too is I think they were probably just going to release into Sheer, and I think he felt maybe some sort of way about it too, and some tension grew there, and they ended up releasing him. But I loved what you were talking about back in January when they said the former champion was going to come out, and they put him out. I thought that was hilarious. I was
cracking up during that.
It was beautiful. That's one thing I don't know. I'll ask you guys how you feel about it. The final boss, and what's your take on this iteration of the Rock character's evolution, Ben?
Love it.
Yep.
Not only because of the final boss thing, but because of what it represents in the Bloodline story, and where Roman was the tribal chief.
Mm-hmm.
The Rock is the if anyone looked at the Bloodline when they showed it at that press conference in Vegas, Roman's the tribal chief. The Rock is classified as the high chief, which is above the tribal chief. So he would have, in all instances, be the final boss.
Yep.
And I love the way they're doing it. It appeases to the younger generation too. The final boss, the gaming aspect of it, and the whole gaming thing with his entrance though, with the final boss.
That was so nice.
I was loving it, so I'm happy with it. I hope they continue with it when he comes back.
I love it and can't get enough of it. As you see my shirt, I thought
I could have.
Yeah, I thought it could have two meanings too, because like with Triple H being the boss, he tried to go over him at that WrestleMania press conference to make that match, but he ended up going with the rules, giving Cody it after he won the Royal Rumble, so he could be the final boss in that respect too. But he acknowledged Roman Reigns as the tribal chief, but he could still be the final boss at the end of the day, setting up a turn on Roman in the future possibly. And I love The Rock as a heel. I think it's just hilarious, and the quotability and everything. It just blows my mind. It's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, the final boss character alone, you guys can chime in if you want, but with him being the final boss and changing into a heel persona and bringing out the adult side of him as far as, programming goes, the PG era, and him going away from that shows me, and I think it's leading up to showing us what they can do when they go to Netflix, where it's going to be uncensored.
Oh yeah.
So that's him doing that now is just a precursor to what's to come.
One thing that was interesting the other night from SmackDown was, it's interesting because everybody was kind of, as Roman's reign went on, everybody was kind of, people had their opinions on it, but I would say a good chunk of people were probably ready for something else to come along because it'd been so long. But the one thing that really surprised me was how loud those "We Want Roman" chants were. I had a friend who was there and told me that was deafening, not piped in audio. Like people were really. So I'm curious what they do with that from here. I'm sure dude wants a break. Like carried the company for so long now, but like you can't deny that. You have to acknowledge that, as it were. So
I'm surprised the fans took him back that quickly too. All it took was Solo to put out Jimmy to do that, and that really surprised me, to be honest, that they took him back that quickly. And then another thing I don't get too is with Roman's title run. I love it. I love Roman Reigns, but why did you have him hold the belt for that long if you're not going to have him get the all-time record for holding it?
Yeah.
What was the point of that? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. Like, I think it was just because Cody had been so far at that point that like if he would have lost, it would have just buried him. And Vince was pretty high on Cody. I don't know if you watch the documentary on the American Nightmare documentary, but they talked about how after he left AEW, Vince actually like flew down himself to bring Cody to WWE, and Kevin Owens was like, I don't think I've ever seen him do that with anybody. So the company was super high on him. I mean, and if he would have lost a second time, because he was kind of like Superman at that point, winning back-to-back Royal Rumbles. Like if he would have lost, I think his character would have just been done with. So I think it was kind of inevitable.
And I think they wanted to ride that train too, is, the fans were so behind Cody, but they knew that there was a fan base still, behind the bloodline and behind Roman. So giving Cody the title appeased to half the fan base, but then knowing that the bloodline story was going to continue, so Roman's not done.
No. So
I think that also appeased to that Roman side because, he might not have the championship, but it's not he's going to be back. He's going to come back as a face, And I think that's with this new era with Paul Levesque in charge, creating those documentaries that they dropped right before WrestleMania made a lot of people realize what was actually going to happen after Mania.
Yeah,
because they laid that little bit of groundwork in those shows and stuff to appease the casual fan and make them realize that you don't want to stop watching after Mania, because we all know everyone and their mother watches Mania because it's the Super Bowl of wrestling.
Yep.
They had 1.3 billion live streams that weekend. So they did everything right to make those casual fans realize I'm going to continue watching it even though Roman lost.
Yeah.
I think Roman's going into a different part of his career too, where it doesn't need a championship on, like toward the Undertaker, where he went at the end of his career, facing Shawn Michaels in back-to-back Manias, facing Roman Reigns, facing Brock Lesnar. You don't need that title involved in those stories to do that. So I think Roman's getting more into the storytelling aspect, to where he's going to have a lot more control over the creativity coming out of it.
And he's doing a movie. You know, there's rumors of a Nike shoe deal. Like, he's established his character. Like, he is who he is. Like, he doesn't need that anymore because he's established himself in the industry, but also in in pop culture and all that. So, whatever he does from here on out is going to be successful. And that, it'll be interesting to see how he crosses over into Hollywood. I don't think he's going to be like The Rock, but
Right.
I think he's got potential. I mean, and what I've seen him do so far, it hadn't been that bad. I mean, and if you look at him being Roman Reigns on TV, I mean, that's acting. Like, that role, incredible.
And I'm an avid shoe collector, so I never in my life thought I would see anyone from WWE sign a contract with Jordan.
Yep.
No, never.
To have their own custom shoes, and I can't wait for them to actually release them. I'm so stoked.
I am a shoe guy as well, and the last ones I can remember getting excited about were Cena's. So it's been a long time coming that somebody had a shoe deal. Or my boy, when he was growing up, he had WWE shoes and stuff like that. But I've been waiting for some crossover star to ink a legit Nike deal. And if Shane McMahon wasn't going to do it, like, Roman's going to be the guy to do it.
Yeah, the ones they showed off that he got at WrestleMania, the whole line of Air Reigns they had.
Man, they were so clean. Those were so clean. So, that was the So next week, exciting week coming up. I guess in the future we'll cover a lot of these other shows and stuff like that. But for those who aren't familiar with WWE Speed, it's a show that airs on X, emphasis on short matches, but they've been having a tournament to crown a champion. The championship, nobody knows what it's called. Nobody knows what it's going to look like. But here's our bracket so far and what's coming next. So who do you guys think is going to be the inaugural Speed champion?
Personally, myself, I got Big Bronson Reed winning it all. Shout out to JD McDonough for finally winning the match. It's about time. But I was gonna say, I think Ricochet will knock him off, and then because they've been pushing Bronson Reed up a lot, so I think they're gonna have him win something. What's all said and done, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ricochet wins as well.
Yep.
I think it's Ricochet's time. He's going to knock off the bobblehead and then go on to win.
I know. I thought Gargano would be a good fit, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to get the tag team championship. So between Ricochet and Reed, I could go either way. I'm leaning more towards Ricochet. He's been getting a lot more TV time lately. His lady's an announcer. Like, he's paid his dues. I mean, it's been forever since he had a belt. So I don't know. Either way, I am kind of curious to see how small a belt would look compared if Bronson Reed was carrying one, because he's a sturdy fella. So I don't know.
Another thing is I could definitely see Ricochet winning too, with Bronson Reed just winning the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. I sort of forgot that he won that, so I could definitely see Ricochet winning it.
It's an easily forgettable thing.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody really does. I mean, Braun Strowman carried it around for a while. I think Baron Corbin did. But it doesn't really. It's not something that sticks around that much.
I think with Ricochet winning it gives a whole new feel to this whole new era, because Vince McMahon was against Ricochet for a long time because all he did was the flippy stuff and the high flying stuff, and Vince McMahon didn't like that. Giving him a prominent title, not really prominent, but a mid-card title like that, will show that the new era is in full swing.
Yeah. So it could go either way. Comment here. Someone thinks Bronson's winning it, so it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Also coming next week, well, tomorrow. This weekend went by really fast. I'm going to pop up all the names of the ladies that are in the championship battle royale. And I took one of them off. It was interesting to see in that promo that Xia Li was in it, and then got immediately released. So I think they're kind of throwing this thing together last minute. So all the names here, you got one to pick. Who's it going to be?
Liv.
I gotta pick Liv myself as well. I think Nia Jax always stands a chance, but it seems to be everyone just wants to gang up on her and throw her over the top rope every time she's in a battle royale.
One of the first ones out.
Yeah, her and Piper Niven.
He's gonna win.
Yeah, you never know, but I wouldn't put my money on that.
I mean, if I had to pick who I think will win and who I want to win, I'm pretty sure Liv will win. I'm a big Ivy Nile fan, so I wouldn't mind seeing her win. I love what she does. I think to me, she's what Ronda Rousey should have been. So, but Liv, I think, is inevitable at this point, and let her hold it until Rhea comes back, and then she'll be probably dead at that point.
I want to see Chelsea Green win it.
I know,
but I know Liv's going to win.
Her time could be Money in the Bank. You never know. I've seen some people
Green.
Commenting about that.
Yeah, I've been reading that too. A lot of fans are looking towards Money in the Bank with Chelsea Green having a little bit of a push.
You can't not. I mean, you can't not like her. It's like she's like a lot of like girls I went to high school with. It's like they're annoying, but they're funny, and it's real. And you know, it's. I keep hoping that in a way it's going to get her husband to come back. I guess if they like push her over. I feel like his run's not done yet. I feel like there's a lot more they could do with him, and I really hope that would be something that would get him to come back if they gave her a belt. So I don't know. So I guess the big news of the day, or of the week rather, coming up next week. Interesting timing with everything going on. It's like the draft is happening and then Backlash is happening. So I guess we have the draft storylines continue through Backlash and then go from there. But new logo, of course, the rules, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all eligible. Hit me with some quick picks. What would you like to see out of the draft this year?
I'll let Mike go first.
Yeah. Okay. I'd like to see. I think Cody's already been to SmackDown, so I don't think that'll change. I think Ilya Dragunov is definitely going to get propped up. He's going to get drafted by SmackDown or Raw after Trick takes the belt off him at Spring Break. And I'd like to see Carmelo Hayes get called up too, but I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that Trick Mello story end just yet after 2 matches. Personally, I think with Nick Aldis alluding on Friday with Paul Heyman after he saw the car accident to get them in order, maybe the Bloodline gets drafted to Raw. That's just maybe a prediction on mine, maybe a little Easter egg they were throwing in there. But I hope that with the draft that they just can form the best storylines possible out of whatever they do to shake up the brands. Yeah.
I'm thinking the same thing. One thing I'm hoping that they do, but I don't think they will, drafting one of the Usos to the opposite brand to bring them back together.
Yeah.
Because of this whole Bloodline Civil War thing, get them back together so they can, because Jay alluded to it before. He's like, "You're still my brother, still love you. We still have history together." So I hope that brings them back together. Not as like a tag team again, but individuals creating that story to bring Roman back. I'm looking forward to seeing Carmelo drafted to the main roster. Trick Williams, hopefully. We all know Ilya Dragunov is going to probably end up on SmackDown. So those are my
one
biggest
thing to look at that's important that I haven't read a lot of people talking about this, but one way to look at it is to remember that Raw is moving to Netflix. So who do you want to go to the uncensored show, potentially, if it's going to be uncensored, which it probably will? Who do you want to go there, thinking about what they could do with less restrictions?
Kevin Owens.
CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, we can keep them there too.
Yeah.
they'll give us good content on that.
God, yes.
And then one other person I forgot to name too is I think Roxanne Perez is going to drop the title at Spring Break into Tatum Paxley or Lyra Valkyria. I think she's going to get called up to the main roster too.
Yep.
I think she'll make an appearance at Backlash after she does too. So.
Yeah.
What do we think? I mean, what about Tony? Do we think that the family is going to stay on NXT? It's one of the things I've been looking at watching them over a while is, I grew up watching The Godfather. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, but it feels like such a Vince McMahon gimmick to have like a mafia boss as a character. I don't feel like that's going to translate very well to the main roster. So I feel like he's going to be stuck there.
I think he needs to get a championship push first, even before it's contemplated that he gets called up. He's not at that
Yeah.
level yet. Him and Stax just dropped the tag titles for him to go on. That's that leading up to Stand and Deliver with Dragunov. So he has a lot more to do as a singles competitor, I think, before they call them up as a faction. It wouldn't be this draft. Maybe in a year or two they can work the kinks out, but not yet.
He needs that run by himself, because we've all seen it in the past with factions. One person you think is amazing because they're surrounded by everyone else that's amazing, or everyone else that makes them look good. I wanted to see him take a step back from like a faction or a group and get a solo push to see how he can do that way before they draft him to the main roster.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's like you surround X-Pac with DX, but I mean, I don't know many people who were out there wearing X-Pac shirts and were like, I'm a massive fan of X-Pac. But when you put the right people in place, I mean, sorry to X-Pac, but like, I mean, even in the NWO, like all of a sudden Six was interesting because he was next to the Outsiders and Hollywood Hogan. So I mean, it's some of those factions, they can prop people up, but that's the thing that I like about the draft is the unexpected splits. So I've been trying to think about like tag teams that should get split up or factions that could get split up. I mean, someone
Imperium.
I mean that I love Ludwig. I'm a big fan of the Zesty. Like I would like to see him have a run on his own. I don't know if they'll let him do it or not, but he's so interesting to me. I would love to see what he could do on his own. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
I think unfortunately too, it's pointing towards Ivar maybe going to NXT too with that with him facing Obafemi. I think unfortunately, I don't think he deserves to be down there, but if they're going to expand the brand, I think it's okay for him to move at that point.
Yeah.
I am hoping that Obafemi doesn't go the almost route. Like Obafemi has so much potential, but I don't want him to get pigeonholed into that generic big guy hole that almost got stuck in.
I was just about to say, just like Omos, and bring Omos over to NXT and make him a tag team. I mean,
that would be crazy.
Let them run the tag division.
Nobody would survive. And that's the one thing that I love about the draft is you never know what's going to happen. I'm pretty sure the main titles will stay where they're at. Like I think that's inevitable. SmackDown to me is kind of the A show anyway. I know they always say Raw is the A show, but it seemed like since like 2018, SmackDown's kind of been the A show. The mid card titles may switch. The tag titles they can switch whenever now. That's the thing I like that they've rebranded about these. I'll throw these back up there. I like that these are rebranded because it was always so awkward before whenever they would switch the tag titles to different brands and there'd be like the backstage switch. I mean, it's funny, but it's awkward. So
like with the Street Profits and whatnot last year.
Right. It's so awkward. I think this kind of gets them out of that hole though. So I think it definitely opens up more possibilities. So that's one thing I like to see is like those could probably switch. The mid card titles probably switch, but the main ones I think will probably stay where they are. I think a lot of it will probably be predictable. The main thing I'm interested in seeing is the NXT call ups because there's a lot of potential for there to pick from. I mean, Dragunov I think is the one everyone's going to be watching with Walter on the Gunther on the main roster. He'll never be. I still can't bring myself to call it. I've been watching him for years and he's always been Walter. But I mean that rivalry. So for those who may not watch NXT, I mean that rivalry, if they can bring that up to the main roster, and Gunther is he's at the top of his game now. Dude is trim. He's putting on amazing matches. Imagine what a modern match would be with him. They don't even need belts to do it. Just let them have at it.
I want them to give the tag title, the SmackDown tag titles, whoever wants them, because they need to break up A-Clown Down Under. Because those two guys annoy the piss out of me.
Yeah,
you don't like them? I think. See, I like the heels. I just think it's funny. I think the gimmick between them is hilarious. How hateable they are for everyone. It honestly makes me laugh. I got a little bit different sense of humor when it comes to it, but
I hated to like them when they were like not together. Like when Grayson Wallen would do his Waller effect and all that stuff, I would, watch it and I would laugh. But now that they're together, it's too much.
No, Another question I got for you guys too. You think Brock Lesnar will get drafted by either brand? Seeing he's a free agent, and after our WrestleMania, Triple H said he's just at home being Brock, and he's still under contract.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's enough of the heat off of the news story that it's possible. I mean, I don't know who he feud with though. Like, I mean,
Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
that would be a good feud.
That would be awesome.
I think. Bring him in and see what they can do. You want to throw think Braun Breaker is like the next big thing? Put him up against the next big thing.
I know. I always thought that Parker Boudreaux was going to be the next big thing. Because he looked like Brock Lesnar. He had that stance. I mean, he didn't make it in AEW. Like, he didn't make it in WWE. Like, I don't know. I felt like he was going to be the next big thing. He was kind of who I was hoping to kind of take on that Brock Lesnar title. But I mean, now I think Braun's definitely the guy. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of the name. I had hoped they'd just call him Bronson Steiner just to go with the legacy. But I mean, I think he's the guy. Like, that guy moves. When you watch him in the ring, he moves. That dude is quick, like lightning. And he comes from good stock too. So there's a lot of potential with him. So we're coming up on Backlash May the 4th. We have a couple matches so far. We have Cody and AJ, Priest and Jey Uso. What do we think is going to get added to the card?
Definitely the triple threat match for the women. I said before, I'm curious to see what they do with both tag championships, seeing that they have number one contenders for both of them. So I assume they won't add any tag matches to the card, but I think it's really I think we'll know a lot more after the draft, and I think they could make some last minute additions probably, because we're just in a weird time of wrestling right now. After WrestleMania and before the draft, it's really tough to start a storyline at the current moment.
Yeah.
I think the women's triple threat. I also think because we rarely see a face versus face tag match for the titles. So I think that match tomorrow night on Raw is not going to end in a clear disqualification or a clear ending. There's going to be a disqualification. It's going to end. Nobody knows. So I think that match is going to end up on Backlash. And since it's May 4th, as long as they have someone cosplay as someone from Star Wars, it's a win for me.
I mean, come on. Yeah.
Zelina Vega. Oh, they got to throw something with the LWO in there too for that. They'll probably have Andrade versus Santos or something. Zelina come out dressed as Princess Leia. I'm in.
Yeah.
Zelina heel turn before then?
Oh.
She
Zelina back with Andrade. They both leave the LWO.
I know, that's been cool seeing them back running in the same circles again. It's interesting. I have high hopes for Andrade. I think, I mean, he went away and he did his own thing, and a lot of times that's what it takes for people to get better, is they have to go away. I mean, Cody did it, and other people do it, and they come back and they're better characters. But so I had hoped that Andrade would be one of the ones that was running in like the world heavyweight title picture. So I'm interested to see what they do with him now. I have high hopes, at least.
Does anyone think we'll see Charlotte Flair come back at Backlash?
Ooh, that could.
Now that Rhea Ripley's gone, Becky might, not be on as much going forward until Seth comes back.
Or is Charlotte a surprise entrant in tomorrow night's Battle Royal?
Ooh.
Oh.
I didn't even think about that. Good point. Replacement for Xia Li.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're onto something there.
Yeah.
Because they need someone to carry that belt. And I mean, if you look at, I mean, Liv would be cool to have it, but I mean, if you look at the names there, like, realistically, a lot of those are new talent. And I mean, if they want to put that on a marquee character, I mean,
have Charlotte come back, win it, feud with Liv until Rhea comes back.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhea beats Charlotte for it. Liv feuds with Rhea after that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of different, I mean, it would make sense. I would do it. And I think her and Andrade are on vacation. Charlotte hasn't been doing much of anything like in a while. One thing that's interesting about this poster is I know the poster doesn't always translate to who's going to be there, but I see Randy Orton there. So I'm interested to see where he's going to fit into all this.
Definitely. Yeah. Maybe against Logan Paul again, but that's I don't know. I don't see that. I'm not really big on seeing that myself either. So I'm just trying to think of something.
I hate to like the fact that Logan Paul is not as bad as I thought he was going to be.
He's
phenomenal
incredible
talent in the ring. Yeah.
like really good, super annoying, but really good.
Very annoying.
And I mean, there's, WWE has had this massive influx of new people recently. I mean, maybe he had some part with it. I mean, he's social media megastar and all that, so maybe he had some part in that. I don't know.
He's a real fan too. Actually, real quick, after watching the behind the scenes stuff from WrestleMania a little bit on YouTube and on TikTok and whatnot, when Cody won the title and Logan actually started tearing up. It shows that he actually is invested and he follows it. He's been a fan, and that's one thing I gained a little bit of respect for him with that. So,
we have an opinion here. 3 realistic and logical people who win this: Becky, Liv, or Nia.
I agree 100%.
Yep.
I mean, I could see it. It wouldn't be very surprising to me. So
those are the only 3 that are announced that I could see.
Which one is the winner? Which one do we like the most?
I got the bottom tag team championship. It reminds me of the Intercontinental Championship when I first started watching as a kid. I love it.
See that the SmackDown reminds me of the Bulldog tag titles.
Yeah,
that were held by like the British Bulldog and all of them back in the day.
Yep. I think that's the winner. I mean, they both look better than they did before. The Raw one before looked like old fruit, like the fruit jerky. Like it didn't command any presence. Like, I don't know, it was kind of an afterthought. But now when you see people carrying these around, like they look like legit
champions.
Yeah. It's been nice seeing these. My big hope is the last thing that I'd like to see now that we're getting all these new designs is the Winged Eagle. Just I'm hoping that's going to happen. You never know, but I have pretty high hopes for that one to come back. So I think all the belts look good now. I'd like the IC title to go back to the white strap. I don't know. I like that one better.
I like the progression of tag team precious metals. They went from penny to nickel to gold.
Yeah. That's a good. Yeah, I could see it. So I guess to wrap up, we almost hit the hour mark. That was the goal. So I'm excited. I'm proud. Good job, guys. So again, as we said before, Sunday nights is the goal to do the wrap ups. In the future, more in depth on the weekly wrap ups. Tonight we had so much to gloss over, but we got it all in under hours. I'm really proud. Midweek, going to do some specials, some interviews, stuff like that. Sunday nights probably will always be the live shows, and then the audio replay will go out on the podcast platforms for those who missed the live video. So pretty excited about that. So if you're not current, we will get you current. We will catch you up, because I not a day goes by that somebody doesn't say, what's going on right now? There's so much going on right now. This is a great time to be becoming a fan. Like, I mean, to me, after the Monday night era, I think SmackDown, when Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon and AJ Styles and all that was going on, 2018 SmackDown, I mean, prior to now, I mean, that's the most recent, like, high time I can remember. But I think now we're in such a new era that I think this will be looked back on in the future as probably one of the best eras.
Look at it since SummerSlam a year and a half ago when Triple H took over right there. I think that was a huge turning point right there. You got Brock coming out to the ring with a tractor and tipping it over.
One of my favorite memories.
That was awesome.
Yes, that was awesome. Amazing.
Dumping Roman out of the ring and having to roll out, and then they stacked the announce table on top of him. Awesome. I love it.
It was so ludicrous, but it was just it was so wonderful.
Watching Roman tumble down, roll out of the ring like he's rolling downhill as a child.
Cowboy Brock was my favorite iteration. I mean, I liked when he had the Money in the Bank briefcase and he was carrying it around kind of like a boombox and was dancing around with it. But Brock Party Brock. But I think Cowboy Tractor Brock was my favorite one. That's probably the closest to his actual character in his actual persona in real life. I think that's why it translated so well.
His feud with Lashley. When he was telling he literally told a knock joke in the ring, and that was freaking hilarious. My
favorite Brock moment though was with Heath Slater, and he was talking about his kids, and Brock was like, "I don't give a shit about your kids."
No, that was great.
So next week will be a big week. Draft coming up, Battle Royale, Speed Finals. I mean, we're coming into some exciting storyline times. So next Sunday night, hopefully we'll have some exciting wrap-ups to do. We'll have the SmackDown draft finished. The first half of the draft finished. So we'll have the remaining superstars, and we can kind of make our picks about who's going where and all that. I think that'll be pretty cool. NXT, I mean, a lot of really cool stuff going on next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, join us next week, next Sunday night, and we'll be having a lot of exciting things to talk about. Excited to be here with you guys. Mike, your accent keeps throwing me off. It's like I feel like you could do a really good Peter Griffin impression.
Yeah, we're from around. I'm not too far from Quahog, Rhode Island. if there was a Quahog.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm excited to see what comes next. So thanks to those who tuned in and to those who are listening to the replay later on down the road. Looking forward to more episodes. Thanks for stopping by, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, we'll come up with a sign off at some point. So we'll see you. We'll see all you later.